Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our flip lesson. You should have your organizer in front of you. Let's go ahead and begin with the first one. The first thing on there says a blank is a ratio that is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1 unit. So we call that a unit rate. And I know you talked about this in 6th grade, so hopefully this is just a review. A unit rate gets us down to where we have a denominator of 1 unit. Let's look at a couple of examples. The first example we have for you is I made $300 for 6 hours of work. Write the unit rate. Okay, take a minute and see if you can figure out what the unit rate would be if I'm looking to have a denominator of 1 unit. And I know that I make $300 for 6 hours. So I want to know how much I would make for 1 hour of work. And remember that you can pause the video along the way until you get this figured out, and then you can get it going and see how you did. So if I made $300 in 6 hours, that means I made $50 in 1 hour. Okay, let's look at the second example, which I think is also on your organizer. We drove 220 miles on 8 gallons of gas. Write the unit rate. I want to know how many miles I could travel on 1 gallon of gas. So let's look at that. If I can travel 220 miles on 8 gallons, that means I can travel 27.5 miles in 1 gallon per 1 gallon of gas. So how do we calculate unit rate? Well, really what you're doing is you're dividing both the numerator and the denominator by whatever the denominator is, because that's going to get us down to 1. If I take, you see the example sitting here on the screen, if I take 3 pounds and I divide it by 3 pounds, that's 1 pound. And remember, we've talked about equivalent fractions, and what we do to the denominator we also have to do to the numerator. So if I divide the denominator by 3, then that means I also have to divide the numerator by 3. So that would be $5 per pound. Here's a second example. The heartbeat example, hopefully we were able to do this in class. If I have 220 heartbeats in 4 minutes, I want to know how many heartbeats that would be in 1 minute. Okay, so I just take 220 divided by 4, because I have 4 minutes here on the bottom. Let me try this. This is my, of course you know this is my denominator. Alright, so I'm taking both the numerator and the denominator. I'm dividing it by 4. That gives me 55 heartbeats every minute. Okay, here are some common unit rates that I'd like for you to include in your notes, because these are really some of the most common ones. Miles per hour. Okay, so that tells us how many miles we can go in 1 hour. Miles per gallon. The number of dollars per pound is usually considered price per pound. You think about buying bananas or something like that. Apples. Number of dollars per hour. Someday when you get a job, you're going to want to know how to calculate how many dollars you're going to make per hour, or how much you did make per hour. Okay, so take just a second to get those in your notes. Okay, one of the things I want you to include on your notes is time is usually in the denominator. Miles per hour, heartbeat per minute, things like that. When you have time, it is usually your denominator. Okay, another another quick note. Money is usually in the numerator. I usually want to know how much I spend per pound, or how much I spend per bag, or something like that. So try to remember, time is usually your denominator, money is usually in your numerator. Okay, when you're setting these up. Okay, I'm going to leave you really quickly with one of my hilarious jokes, because you know I'm so good at that. What do mathematicians eat during Thanksgiving? What do mathematicians eat during Thanksgiving? They eat pumpkin pie. Get it? Pumpkin P-I, pie. Hilarious. Hope you have a great night. See you tomorrow.